Hello and welcome. My name is Sigurlin Dufour-Jensen and I'm with the Institute for Women, Peace and Security at the Emin Walsh School of Foreign Service at Georgetown University. This is a profile in peace. Today, it is my great honor to interview Secretary William Hague of the United Kingdom. Secretary Hague is the Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs. He has been a Member of Parliament in the United Kingdom since 1989 and ever since has been a champion of women's rights globally and at home. Secretary Hague, thank you so much for sitting with us today. We wanted to ask you a little bit about the Prevention of Sexual Violence Initiative. Could you talk to us a little bit about how you came to be so passionate about this cause, what your strategy was to push that agenda forward, and also why has this been a UK foreign policy priority?
Right, well, a lot of questions there. Thank you for asking that. Really, this started for me visiting places around the world where I could see some terrible things happening. Darfur was a good example of that. People in camps for displaced people being raped every time they went out for firewood. And over the years, as I traveled as an opposition politician and then as Foreign Secretary, I've seen in Bosnia, in parts of Africa, such as the Democratic Republic of Congo, these terrible events, or the evidence of these terrible events. And it seems to me that we cannot be aware of these things and choose not to do something about it. What would it say about our societies if we made that choice? And also instrumental in this for me was the work of Angelina Jolie, who made a film, The Land of Blood and Honey, about the war in Bosnia, which I offered to screen at the British Foreign Office. And so we did that a couple of years ago. And that illustrated the horrors of sexual violence and conflict so well and so accurately that she and I decided to start our campaign, the Prevention of Sexual Violence and Conflict, what we call PSVI. And I think what was missing before in all the very good work of NGOs, many people around the world and people at the UN, was one of the big governments of the world really getting involved in this. And this therefore brings me to the other part of your question about why is this part of UK foreign policy. We're one of the countries in the world, like the United States, that can really move the dial in world affairs. We have a huge diplomatic network. We have one of the biggest development budgets in the world. We have relations with most countries of the world. We are on the UN Security Council. So when we really move things, when we use all of that to move world opinion on an issue, we can move it. If we have partners across the world. And that's why it's part of our foreign policy. It's because I think we can make a difference, and it's a great and important moral cause in itself to prevent sexual violence and conflict. But it is more than that. It is about conflict resolution, about communities being able to live and work together after a conflict. And it is part of a wider scene about a great strategic prize in this century, the full economic and social and political empowerment of women. And it's one small part of achieving that.
I see. Well, that's a great segue into my second question. There are two important pillars in the initiative, which were the prevention and prosecution. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of promoting agency, and how do we move away from the idea that women are merely victims of conflicts, and how do we convince skeptics that they can be agents of positive change?
Well, we have to involve women wherever we can in resolving conflict. In fact, I have been advocating a bigger role for women in the Syria peace talks in Geneva. And there has been a group of women formed, but unfortunately they were just on the margins of these peace talks. I went to meet them at the opening of the Geneva II peace negotiations. And I think whenever it is in the future that we build a successful peace in Syria, there will be a bigger role for women in that than there is today. And when we do that, and in other conflicts, people will increasingly get the message that this is an important part of conflict resolution. But it is important, absolutely, as you say, prevention is important in terms of these crimes. But also prosecution is very important. So this is a key part of our initiative, that we have to shatter impunity, that we have to show through international coordination on the documentation and investigation of these crimes that people can and will be prosecuted. and that they have to think about the consequences of that. But we're trying to do more than that. We're trying to change the whole global attitude. This is about really changing the attitude so that the stigma of that is so sadly and tragically attached to people who are the victims of these crimes, instead, increasingly, in the opinion of many societies, will be attached to the perpetrators of the crimes. That is our objective. It's a big objective, but that's what we have to work for.
What is your personal definition of peace and security?
Well, for me, this campaign is very important. It's people being free of these things. It is not just being able to be free to make decisions about yourself and your family. It is being free of fear. Many of us live in societies where we are relatively free of fear. And therefore it has to include nations being free of the fear of invasion, of foreign relations which are deeply damaging to them. But it has to involve individuals being free of the fear of, particularly, of violence against them and their families. And you can't have international peace and security without that freedom. And that, again, is why the campaign to prevent sexual violence and conflict is so important.
Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us this afternoon. This has been a Profile in Peace. Thank you very much for watching. For more Profiles in Peace videos and information about the Institute, please log on to our website, giwps.georgetown.edu.